good morning. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Akil. Here are the headlines. It's a subdued start to the trading day. The Nifty seeks to find support at the 100 daily moving average mark of 11,127. Open interest surges in Muthoot Finance as traders take for fresh long positions. Fresh shorts build up in Godrej Industries. And after its biggest intraday correction in over 2 decades on Monday, Sun Pharma is the top gainer on the index today. And Jet Airways continues to decline after its CEO and Deputy CEO Amit Agarwal resigned.
All right, those are the top headlines for you at this hour, but let's tell you what's happening with the markets after the fall that we've seen from those levels of 11,800 this morning. Once again, the start has been pretty much weak, but nothing major actually happening. 11,135. Yesterday's low will be crucial now to watch of 11,125, which is also the 100-day moving average on Nifty. The premium has been coming off from the start of the series, actually, from those levels of 85 to 90. But remember, there is no build-up that has come in the form of open interest either on Nifty futures or on Bank Nifty futures if you compare it from the start of the series. So this morning as well, the open interest on Nifty futures is down almost 3.5%. Bank Nifty slipped into the green territory. No major gains seen. It's just about flattish actually at about 28,655, and there also open interest is down 1%. That's telling you there is some bit of a lack of participation in the system ahead of the crucial result day of 23rd May. Traders are maybe not taking any sort of speculative bet and are waiting for the result to come by and then take fresh positions. But still, how's the positioning looking on the option side? If you go by the expiry of next Thursday, the maximum open interest for Nifty options is at the 11,300 call and the 11,000 put. Probably that's just giving you a range till the next Thursday. But overall, the 11,200 call in today's session has added nearly 10 lakh shares, and also the 11,100 put, that's been really active since the morning session. That's added about 6.5 lakh shares. But the key levels now, at least for today and for the days to come, for the next 1 week, you can watch out for the 100 and the 200-day moving average on the downside. Nifty's is at 11,125 and the 200-day moving average is at 11,000. As of now, both these indices have been trading below their 100-day moving average.
Okay. Let's take a look at all the stocks which are seeing a substantial surge in open interest and also perhaps some unwinding. Let's pull that list up, and that should be on your screen. There you have it. Muthoot Finance, SRF. SRF is declining despite the fact that they've had a reasonably steady quarter. Jet Airways, of course, really under pressure on account of its own set of challenges. Karnataka Bank also looking at substantial losses. Just Dial, on the other hand, is seeing a considerable increase in open interest, but towards longs. It's been a very strong quarter for Just Dial, as is the case for Muthoot Finance too. So it is moving up, and it's seeing some longs coming through. In terms of unwinding, we're keeping an eye on stocks like Canara Bank, Equitas Holding, and Cummins India. Unwinding seen there, but not too much change in terms of its underlying. On the whole, it's been, I would say, not necessarily the best of sessions, certainly not the follow-up anyone would expect or would want to hope for after the kind of correction that we have already seen over the last 8 sessions, Nameet.
Okay, so a lot of stocks to keep an eye on, but in particular, we will be discussing 3 stocks, and Agam's already highlighted those stocks. One of them is Sun Pharma. There was an intraday fall of nearly 21% yesterday. This morning, there has been some bit of recovery which has come by. In fact, it's the top gainer on Nifty, but still the stock's trading below all its key moving averages. The other one is Muthoot Finance. Good set of numbers. I think the key takeaway was the gold loan AUM was up 6% sequentially versus past 4-quarter average of about 3% growth. The stock today took support at 100-day moving average, and from there it has bounced back. The next one, as Agam highlighted, is SRF. The numbers looked pretty good, but still the stock this morning has seen fresh shorting coming by, Agam.
Okay, let's get in our experts for the day. But before we do that, here's a reminder. If you have any queries on the futures and options space, you can call us on 022-454-04141. Of course, you can also write to us on WhatsApp. And if you do intend to write to us on Facebook or Twitter, do add the AskBQ hashtag. Let's get in our experts for the day. Then we have Nirav, Chheda of Nirmal Securities and Amit Shah of Pop Capital Markets joining us on the show. Good morning to both of you, and thanks for joining in. Amit, let's start with you. Your view now, is this correction likely to see a little bit of a break, or do you think there's more weakness in store?
Well, good morning. If you look at the violation of the key support of 11,550 odd mark, since then we have seen a steady fall in the market, and it's almost the 10th day where we are on the negative side of the market, and it has over last 6 days in this last 10 days fall, none of the days the market has been able to hold the previous day's high.
Right.
So this is a sign of a weakness, and where a steady fall with a steady deteriorating market breadth, which has led to more of a weakness in the market. So with this violation of 11,550 odd, definitely the market has showed a steep downside. Now from here on, if you look at the supportive action, there are two key supports now, which is one at 11,100 odd. Now this is the key support considering the market when it had fallen from the previous week highs of 11,750 at that point of time to almost 10,000 odd mark. So there you have a key Fibonacci support level, which is likely to see some kind of a supportive action. Even it is overlapping with the trend line, some supportive action from there on. So 11,100 would be my key level to watch out for. Below that, 10,900 would be the utmost important support for the market. But till the time 11,360 is not violated, any rise towards that will be short-lived. So maybe we can see some kind of pullback in case if market respects 11,100 key support mark from here on. We saw some non-negative development in the option writing as well, where the call writers have moved now lower from 12,000 strike to almost 11,700 odd strike. The put writers are still holding at 11,000 strike level. So this is where the overall support will be seen. Couple of things to watch out. We should see a good positive market breadth in this pullback. If that happens, then definitely market can see some time consolidation here.
Okay, so the base for this market has been moving lower, and that we've seen with the index coming off from those levels of 11,750. Hi Nirav, good morning to you. Are you taking any fresh positions in today's session, or would you wait by for certain crucial levels?
Yeah. Good morning, Navneet and Agam. After the break of 11,550, there has been some tremendous amount of selling pressure which has come into the index, as well as the broader market. Just like in March, where the broader market was also going up along with the index, there is the broader market which is coming down, and not just the index stocks. I still believe this is just a small correction in the immediate longer rally. However, index is now coming towards its support area of around 11,000 odd levels, which also holds the 200-day moving average. Also, one thing to note was, index had broken out above the 11,000 levels, somewhere in Feb or March, and then, saw a rally of about 800, 900 points. So there was a trend line, break as well at those levels. So very likely there is going to be a retest of those 11,000 odd levels, and then probably, Nifty will take it from there. Also, last time I had mentioned, the VIX had actually cooled off from 25 to 21, and I was actually surprised as well, because, with the election time coming in, the VIX actually goes up to 30, 33 levels, which we are seeing now that is happening. It is already at 27, 28 levels, likely to rise further. And how does the VIX rise? Generally, by the selling pressure. When the selling pressure rises, the VIX rises along with it. So again, there can be some amount of selling left, but I do not want to play, for those 100, 150 odd points. As of now, there is no trade on the Nifty or the Bank Nifty. I'll be waiting for certain amount of consolidation, after which, probably a good buy call can come in.
Okay, so that's Nirav's view on it. But Amit, I think we missed out on your call for the Nifty. You are if you can take us through that as well.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, that 11,100 is a key support, and considering we now have weekly option contracts, so considering the time-wise, if the market has to show some kind of a resilience on the positive side, then this is the time, and maybe in 1 or 2 days, that market can show some supportive action from 11,100 and show some kind of a bounce back. So this would be a pure pullback play, not a trend reversal kind of a scenario. So to play this, I'll trade on a weekly option, which is at 11,200 strike. which is trading around 53.54 at this point of time. This is a weekly contract. On the downside, I would keep 11,100 as a spot Nifty stop loss.
Okay.
In case if it violates that, then I would recommend to exit the trade. However, if it holds for the first half of the trade, then definitely I feel that there can be some kind of pullback in the market.
Okay.
And what about your individual stock futures idea?
Yes, I have a buy recommendation on Titan. Now, the stock has seen a series of higher top, higher bottom formation. Though the open interest activity is slightly muted, but overall the stock has showed a very good reversal from 1080 odd levels. So on the upside, the more it sustains above 1140, 1145 odd, I believe the stock can see some positive action towards 1180 to 1200 mark. On the downside, 1180, 1120 will act as a key support for Titan. I have another recommendation, which is a sell call on Apollo Tyres. Now, during the rollovers, I had mentioned that there is a negative side of the rollovers which had happened in the overall tire space, and we saw Apollo Tyre and MRF, all these counters have been making a lower top, lower bottom formation. So Apollo Tyre has lately just violated the key weekly support, which was around 195 odd, and has been sustaining quite below that. So the more it sustains below this level, I believe on the downside it can test towards 175 to 170. On the upside, 190 will act as a key resistance for the stock.
Okay, Nirav, how about you? Your stock ideas for the day?
Yeah. See, the first call is a sell call on Bata India. Ever since it had reached 1400 odd levels, there is certain amount of resistance which had come in. A lot of selling pressure had come in, along with the indicators which were in the overbought zone in the longer term charts. They have also, come down ever since. The liquidation also which is going on. Also, it has broken below its 50-day moving average, which was at 1375, 1380 odd levels. It has retested it yesterday and now fallen again today. I believe Bata India can come down towards the 1300, 1320 odd level. So one can sell, at these levels with a stop loss of 1380, and the possible targets can be around 1320, 1300 odd levels. The second one is a buy call on IndusInd Bank. If you see, IndusInd Bank, it had given a good breakout at the sub 1600 odd levels, gone to 1800, and there is some tremendous amount of selling pressure which has come in from those levels. There is 12 or 13 straight days of negative bias in this stock, which has led it towards even below the 1400 odd levels. I believe this stock can be bought. It is very oversold. It can come up towards the 1450, 1480 odd levels in the near to medium term. One can buy this stock at current levels with a stop loss of 1380 and a possible target of around 1440 for trading.
Okay, so two strategies coming in from Nirav, long on IndusInd Bank and short on Bata futures. Nirav, we appreciate you joining us today and taking us through your strategies on the individual stocks and also on the index. Okay, just shifting focus to a couple of earnings. Just Dial reported an operationally strong quarter with profits and margins seeing substantial growth. Nikki Mirchandani spoke to company CFO Abhishek Bansal and began by asking him about sustaining the growth in FY20. Listen in.
See, last full fiscal year, we grew at a decent 14% YOY growth in our top line. At EBITDA level, we had a healthy 38-40% year-on-year growth. If we see in terms of free cash flows, which is one of the most important metrics that we track, we generated about 349 crores for the full year. Out of that, about 220 crores was shared back with shareholders, 130 crores getting added to balance sheet. So it was a pretty robust performance for FY19. Going forward, we are taking steps to get our inputs right, which means that our traffic, which is at about 139 million unique users, growing at 25% year on year, we want to ensure that we maintain that. On the monetization side, we are trying to ensure we cover every corner of the country. So expansion into tier 2, tier 3 cities via our feet on street continues to be there. So a combination of these particular inputs, I think, should help us do fairly well even at a higher base of FY19.
All right, so also talking about a little bit about the tier 2 and the tier 3 towns, I think there is a shift of business mix out there on account of which we've also seen some amount of decline coming in the realizations, at least sequentially. I'd like to understand what can we expect going forward and the trend that could play out in terms of realization for the upcoming quarters.
Tier 2, Tier 3 cities are the areas where we are growing fairly well. So Tier 2, Tier 3 today contribute about 27% to our top line and broadly about 47% to count of paid campaigns. Tier 2, Tier 3 definitely have been growing their share and we expect the same to continue going forward as well. Considering the pricing or the average ticket size in those particular territories is lower, that results into downward pressure on our blended realizations. But the good part is that since realizations of the ticket size are much lower, there is a decent scope to take those particular realizations up. So on a year-on-year basis, I think it will be a combination of paid campaigns growth as well as realizations growth that should help us drive our overall revenue growth.
All right, Mr. Bansal, what's the update on pricing right now if we compare that with the volumes and what takes precedence over the next 2-3 quarters?
Last particular quarter, out of the 16% top line growth, about 12.5% materialized due to paid campaign growth year on year, and the rest about 3.5% came from realizations. So at this point of time, it's more, the growth is more coming out of paid campaigns, which is, as I said, mainly to do with our particular additions to feet on street becoming productive. As and when they become productive, that results into higher signups and higher paid campaigns.
All right. And the update on the Search Plus, can you tell us the visibility, in the earnings from that area?
So Search Plus and related areas, they are mainly for user experience at this point of time. We want users to engage more with the platform. As far as our monetization is concerned, whether a SME pays us for the core listing product or any other add-on product, it's the same SME that is paying to us, and most of our products are digital in nature. So we have added a lot of features, plus you will also see our particular platform becoming multilingual in nature. We would start catering to regional as well as international languages soon. So those particular initiatives should help us get more users and the same users spending more time on our platform.
All right, you also last year initiated a transition to transaction-led platform. How is that process panning out right now, and what are the updates there?
So transaction-led platform or such initiatives, we have been at it for last about few years. So if you visit our particular platform, for example, if you want to search for any particular movie, we do have movies online where you can find a particular movie is available on which OTT platform. Today, there are so many OTT platforms, and at times users find it difficult to know, okay, this specific movie is available where. Similarly, in case of hotels, in case of products, we are taking a meta approach where we become a one-stop destination from where users can explore which specific vertical or a platform they want to go to. So we are very clear that we don't want to be part of any cashback or discounting game, but at the same time keep giving value-added features to our users in these particular verticals as well.
Okay, that's the management of Just Dial speaking on their fourth quarter numbers, which were good, and the stocks also trading in the positive territory, giving that guidance also for FY20 that they will be able to sustain the growth that they have posted despite higher base seen. Okay, let's shift focus and talk about the stocks that we wanted to take view on. And first up is Sun Pharma. Now, there was an intraday fall of almost 21% in yesterday's session in the second half, but then there was a huge recovery also. The lows were somewhere about 344 for Sun Pharma, but the closing came in at around 398. And this morning, Amit, we've seen some bit of pullback coming into the counter, but once again, I think there is fresh supply coming at higher levels. The day's high was somewhere about 417, and currently it's at 408. It's trading below all its key moving averages. Would you recommend taking any sort of trade considering the sort of fall that it saw in the intraday session?
See, the stock has been steadily making a lower top, lower bottom formation. Yesterday, we saw a fresh addition of short position where the open interest increased by around 4.5% odd. So at this point of time, considering yesterday's intensity of the fall, definitely the risk reward is not favorable on the short side. And looking at the broader structure, definitely it's not either on the long side as well. So it has multiple resistances on the upside till the time it does not sustain above 480, 500 odd levels, which is quite far from here. On every upside, the resistance can be stiff enough to witness some selling pressure from there on. So in fact, I would wait for some kind of a time consolidation. I would be more on the short side of the stock rather than being on the long side of the stock. But at this point of time, none of the areas, the risk reward looks favorable.
Okay. The other stock we want to address is SRF, and as I was mentioning, we've seen well, some steady earnings for SRF, possibly for the second straight quarter too. But for now, we are looking at just a little bit of weakness. And while in the morning, SRF was trading at significantly lower levels from here. In fact, its intraday low is at 23.35. It has recovered from day's lows and currently at around 24.30. That said, there certainly is a lot of short build-up right now, considering that 18% growth or increase in open interest. So some concerns there, and well, sentiment certainly seems to have changed for the worse for SRF2, which has hit a 52-week high at around 2600, if I'm not mistaken, just a few days back. But one might also attribute this possibly to the general slowdown that we've seen in the rest of the markets too. So let's take a look at how we can address this one. Amit, what would you do with this one? How would you trade it?
So the overall nature of the stock, it's quite volatile.
Yeah.
Looking at the broader structure, the stock has been steadily making a higher top, higher bottom formation, but within wide swings within the short-term formation.
That's right.
So it has violated the 50-day moving average and it is hovering around that band. But the short-term structure, however, looks slight of a profit booking activity, considering the rally what it has seen from almost 2,000 to 2,600 odd. So on the downside, it has key support from what you mentioned of today's low of 2330 odd. So that's where the short-term support is seen for the stock. There can be more weakness if it violates that level, where the profit-taking activity can be seen. On the upside, again, the stock can see some kind of a buying momentum once it starts hovering about 25 odd.
Okay, before we get to the individual queries, I want to address the top two gainers in the F&O space, and one of them is Muthoot Finance. The company came out with the numbers and the stock today took support at 100 DMA, and from thereabouts there was some buying seen currently at 565. The gold loan AUM was up nearly 5.5% sequentially, which is higher than the average which we've seen in the last 4 quarters of almost 3.2%. And the other company which is in the same nature of business, that's Manappuram Finance, that's also moved higher in today's session. The earnings for this one come out tomorrow. Amit, would you take a bet considering the sort of move we've seen this morning of about 3 to 3.5% for both these companies? And if yes, which one is better placed?
So definitely in terms of the structural comfort, Muthoot Finance, it's slightly better compared to Manappuram. So if you look at Muthoot Finance, definitely the stock has seen some kind of pullback today. But if you just look at the open interest traction since the inception of the May series, especially on 6th or between 6th to 8th of May, the open interest has surged from close to 18 lakhs, which was the base open interest during the start of the series, and it had inclined towards 24.5 odd lakh shares. Right now, the open interest base is around 23 lakh shares. So there was an immense amount of short position which was added between these 3 days, where the open interest along with the price decline has been seen. Yesterday we saw some kind of a profit-taking activity of those short positions which were added, where the open interest and the price both declined. But till the time the stock does not sustain above 585, 580 odd, I would still wait for some time, let some clarity emerge. Looking at the broader structure, definitely the stock is in a higher top, higher bottom formation. So every decline can be utilized as a buying opportunity, but on confirmation, which is at this level seen above 585.
Okay. Well, let's move on and take perhaps a query or two. We have one from Tamil Selvam, and he says that he's bought the ITC 310 call at 4. Currently, he says he's in a loss, and the question is if he should hold till expiry or book losses. I'm not certain which one is this. Okay, so okay, all right. So this is currently at around 2.3, and of course ITC, well, 310 is not exactly very close by. In fact, the recent high it made in April was at around 309, 310. So certainly, well, a challenging position to be in. But the funny thing is, or perhaps the interesting thing is here, that it's actually taking support around its 100 and 200 daily moving average as far as ITC is concerned. How would you deal with this, Amit, going forward, and what would your advice be? Book losses?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend to book losses. There is no skin in the game considering such a wide strike price from the current market price. So 310 looks very far. In fact, it is good that because of the good IVs, he's still getting a better premium of 2.5 odd. So the loss can be mitigated up to some extent. So considering the time left, definitely the IVs will cool off in next 1 week to 10 days. I would recommend the trader to exit the position at this point of time. Overall, looking at the structure, it has violated the key support of 295 odd. Till the time it does not cross this, I don't see any kind of a strength emerging in this space.
Okay, that's ITC for you. The other one is Tech Mahindra. Amit, Sapna wants to know your views on this counter, technically how it is placed and if there's any position that one can take here.
So if someone is looking for a slightly positional play for 2 to 3 months time frame, definitely the stock is very good. It has been hovering around its all-time high level and can see a series of higher top, higher bottom formation from here on. On a shorter term basis, the stock is likely to see some kind of a time consolidation where on the downside it can take some supportive action around 790 to 800 odd mark, and on the upside it can witness some resistance around 830 odd. So till the time 830 is not crossed, short term traders can avoid the position. However, if someone who is taking a bet for a longer term, any decline towards 790 can be utilized to average the long positions.
Okay, another very interesting query. We have one from Ronnie Roy. He says he has bought the Dabur 360 put. He's paid a premium around 9.2. What is the view? Now, I'm not certain how liquid the Dabur put is. That said, it is very close to its spot price, so there's always a possibility of that put. It's almost in the money. It's currently at 9.4, so he's also making a little bit of a profit. And of course, the positive perhaps for the viewer is that Dabur is on a falling spree. It has been extremely weak over the past few months. So that said, Amit, would you ask him to hold on to this specific put? What's your view here?
Well, it's a very challenging level what the strike price it has chosen of 360. That's the monthly support level of the November month low. So 360 is where the November month low was seen, and that will act as a monthly support for the counter. So if it violates 360, definitely there can be more room on the downside and can see some further weakness. But considering the overall, the nature and the structure of the stocks, you always need to trade this kind of a stock on confirmation. So at this point of time, I would recommend to keep a strict stop loss around 372. That's where the resistance is seen. If it violates 372, or maybe if it doesn't happen if 360 also doesn't get break in next 3 to 4 days, then I would recommend to exit the position.
Exit the position.
Okay, we're getting a lot of your queries. The next one is on TCS. Amit, Naveen wants a view. I don't know, he's not mentioned whether he's taken position, but he wants a view on 2200 call strike of TCS, and that happens to be a strike where maximum open interest is currently on the call side, at least for the current city. So would you advise taking any position here?
See, at this point of time, the stock is completely in a sideways trend with some profit-taking activity which it has seen over last 1 week. So I don't see any strength which is building at this point of time in shorter time frame. However, at the broader structure, it has a very good support around 2050 odd. So till the time it is not violating that, the biasness remains positive, but always the option positions are to be considered with the time, respecting the time as well. So in that particular, within this expiry time frame, I don't see that strength coming in at this point of time.
Okay, you guys are really late in putting your queries, but I'm going to take just one more and take it, we go beyond time. We have one from Prajay Gada, and he wants a view on Yes Bank. Perhaps we can just take one more up here as well. Let's pull up Yes Bank and take a look at how this one is doing. Of course, it's seen a lot of volatility. It was down yesterday, but today not as much. There's likely some unwinding happening today. At 154, Amit, your view here?
See, I would always stay away from a falling knife, and also the counters which makes a lot of noise, like Sun Pharma, Tata Motors, Yes Bank. All these counters has been making a steady lower top, lower bottom formation. Same goes with Yes Bank. The stock has failed to sustain at every higher end, and in fact steadily violated 200 mark. So I believe the more it sustains below 170, 165 odd, the more weakness the counter can witness, where on the downside 140 levels can be tested.
Can I just be kind and take one more query, Agam?
Of course, please go for it.
Senthil has written, he has taken 2 positions, but Senthil, I'm just going to take one query since we're running out of time on Sun TV. Amit, he's got a position at 601.5 and he's holding 720 shares. The stock on the cash is at about 530. Do you think he should just exit?
Entered at what level?
601.
Oh, okay. So definitely that's a huge amount of loss, but yes, the structure doesn't look any kind of positive, supportive from here on. However, the stock has a monthly support at 515 odd. So in case if he can wait for some time, then he can trade with this as a stop loss and wait for any kind of a pullback to exit the trade.
Okay, absolutely out of time. Jagdish, we're going to take your Tata Steel query in Ask DQ. But on that note, I'm going to thank Amit as well for joining us and taking us through his views and solving a whole host of our viewers' queries. For more update on the F&O space, you can also check our website out, bloombergquint.com, specifically the futures and options pages. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. For more news and updates, stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint Live.